Getting ready.
Okay.
Not personal.
You just want to say test 1, 2, 3 or something? Not on that one, I just want to see if this is going to pick it up.
Oh, testing, 1, 2, 3, test. Can you hear me?
Okay, just wait.
I was wondering what you were doing.
Waiting for this to...
Is that with yours off, Paul?
Hmm?
Is that with yours off?
I'm gonna restart that when we start coming.
I think it's
Yeah.
Not on that one, I just want to see if this is going to pick up.
I don't know how you got the volume.
At about... Not that loud. 50. So we'll try it without the mics, and if anybody hears us,
Now can I start this?
let us know, yeah. We'll go ahead and call the city commission meeting to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So you shouldn't have to use that, Dave. That one should be working.
Do you want me to put one of these up here?
Yeah, probably. We'll give this a try and hopefully it'll work. And somebody can text us if it doesn't work right. I do know it was supposed to happen. What's that? All right, we'll start with the minutes from the last meeting.
So I think there's a typo under commission raises. On one line it's written 6,600 a year, and then where Sather made the motion to approve $6,800 a year, so it just needs to be corrected.
Okay, I got it noted.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Dave, second by Mike. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The presentation of the bills. I have a motion for approving.
So moved.
Moved by Paul, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Nicole. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Same sign for opposing. Motion carries. We'll start with Paul tonight for commissioners' reports.
I don't have a lot. HEDC did meet, and they did approve a program to help businesses with utility and infrastructure repairs. Say you have a water line under the street or something like that, that fails. This is a grant that'll help pay for some of those repairs. There's a form you gotta fill out. It does go back about a year and a half. Is that right, Jared? When we started getting the sales tax money, when they started, so from that point going forward, all the specifics are online, for that. Or just talk to an economic development, somebody from HEDC. I'm sure they can find that information for you. Electrical side, we're still working on things with that. Nothing new to report, other than what Jim will probably report, and on the beautification, I don't really have anything there. So that's all I have.
Mike?
I got a call this week on the property down by the county shop down there, the wooded property, and they do have a purchase agreement on it pending that we can rezone it to commercial from residential. So I have to take this to the planning and zoning first to get their blessing on it, or not their blessing, but if you guys have any concerns, which I'm sure there is.
For that, we have to have a hearing, correct? They would have to have a hearing with notice if it's gonna change,
There are two hearings.
or two hearings.
One with planning and zoning and one with commission, I believe.
Correct.
The neighbors have to be notified within each or something,
That
so.
sounds correct as well, yes. I have a checklist for it, but it's application, notice of meeting, then pass out to the hearing. notice
So
of meeting.
if we meet next Monday, then we have to have a meeting after that then?
Look, my checklist. It has to be published twice.
Before we have our meeting then?
Before you have a meeting for planning and zoning, it has to be published in the newspaper twice, then you hold a meeting.
So
And it's the same process of published twice.
can we do that before we have planning and zoning?
Correct.
So you could
I can
publish-
give you the checklist here too, if you would like.
Yeah, so you'd have to publish it this week, and then next week, and then you could have the meeting.
Okay. That's all I've got.
Dave?
The only thing I have is I sent their contract for our garbage to everybody on the, and we don't have to do anything with tonight, our contract doesn't expire till, or it comes up new in November of '24. I was trying to get hold of Paul from Waste Management, sit down with him one day and just have some discussions on recycling and things like that, but he's found another job, so they're looking for somebody to replace him, so. So if you have any concerns about, you can read through it. And we're gonna need to, I think the recycling is getting to the point where it's getting too expensive for cities to even have recycling, and some cities have gotten away from it altogether, and it's just, it's not a profit maker, it's a losing money system now, so. But we can talk about that down the road, so that's all I have.
Nicole?
East Central Rural Water District, Mayville, and a few of us met here on January 30th at 10 a.m. The true-ups for periods 2018 through 2021 were supplied. So if anyone wants to see those, I have those printed off. We currently have a joint power agreement in between Mayville, Hillsboro, and East Central Rural Water District. Some options were given out. One was to have each become a partnership that is separate, which would be ECRWD in Mayville and ECRWD in Hillsboro. Option 2 is to become regional operators or to stay as our current JPA. Some of the challenges that were expressed was under the current was that each WT must staff experienced operators, and it's difficult to recruit experienced operators. There's, ECRWD has an issue providing enough water during times of heavy agricultural spraying. The parties determine water rates based upon each party's costs, and there is significant differences in these water rates, and they have different levels of staff to repair and maintain. But some of the advantages of this was that there's shared knowledge and efficiencies. One is in charge of the financial budgeting. Chemical bids can be in bulk and would bring the cost down. Reporting processes is more streamlined, and there's standardizations of costs. One option, if the joint powers agreement, if that was something that we did not want to move forward with or continue with, there was a recommendation where you become a new legal entity. With that, though, is where the operating entity will employ 3 operators, ranging from full-time to part-time, so that's not, so we would pull employees from Hillsboro that would have to get certified in it, and we'd have to pay, so that would be basically creating another 3 positions or finding a way to pay the current ones more. And some of the other issues, you know, we have our own internal HR, we have our own issues short-term. So after discussion, it's really up to us as commissioners, whether if we want to stay with that joint powers agreement or we want to move into our own separate entity. The other one is being a new political subdivision created by legislation that can take 2 years to establish. So after, you know, kind of weighing everything, I feel like the JPA is still the way to go, just based on our current budget issues and keeping our staff here with us, rather than creating more positions and more salaries. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
Did take good notes.
Anybody have any questions for Nicole on that?
Would our staff be moving around then, or would they be staying in one place, or would they be going to different places, or if we change it, or?
Yeah, if we were not to continue with the joint powers, what would happen is we would be looking at creating and certifying individual positions rather than being able to utilize Jim and the ones that get certified now for that. If I understand correctly, Mayville does not have kind of the same, you know, good side that we have. You know, they don't have the ability like we do to use the certified positions that we have here. So, you know, that they don't really have anything to do with us, but that would be kind of that issue that we would have on their end, basically.
They have their own treatment plant too, Jim?
Mayville?
No. East Central, do they?
No,
have-
they do not.
They don't have any treatment plant.
No, they have,
You shouldn't need that.
no, they have the,
You shouldn't need that.
they have their current, you know, East Central combined with, East Central was formed with Grand Forks Trail and Trail.
Right,
Grand Forks Trail still has a water plant
okay.
that supplies most of the water for their northern region, and our plants supply, and Mayville supplies it for their southern part of their region.
And is it, they said on the high uses, is that just their raw water coming in, or the production side?
That's their usage there during agriculture times, that they demand more water.
But are we, with the, between us and Mayville, we can still keep up, or is our?
So far we can, yeah.
Some of the other things too is if it was a new nonprofit entity, you would have a 6-member board as well. That would have to be created on top of these positions. And you'd appoint 2 people to the board, and then appointed board members must at least 1 member of the party governing the board or council and then one can be one technical staff person. Also, there's one overall superintendent that would be identified who will handle all day-to-day management and scheduling. And they would be encouraged to hold weekly meetings with all other operators to identify system challenges, delegating tasks, and collectively roundtable system issues. So you're putting a board and staff and everything, so it's kind of a whole new animal.
Sounds expensive.
I mean, yeah,
They claimed it wasn't, but I can't imagine it's not.
I just see a lot of our employees being taken because of the knowledge that we have, where we have more knowledge and more employees in Mayville. And so I see it being a higher cost for us on the short term.
Did they say, they said there's a different cost between here and Mayville, but did they specify what the difference was?
no, they just said, our assumption is we wouldn't wanna offer it if there was a cost, but it should save you over the long run. And, thinking now, I don't know necessarily now is a good time, it might be something down the road. When you have a budget for
Right.
those types of positions and stuff, it probably would make more sense. I'm just not sure right now for resource-wise, it would.
Well, and we're going from 2 part-time and 3 part-time operators to 3 full-time operators, and
Right.
is there enough
It's-
overall to make it for 3 full-time people?
Well, I'm gonna say something. To me, right now, with the joint powers, and I brought it to the table before, is that we work with East Central, they work with East Central. Very few of the matters between Mayville and Hillsboro involves us together. We have issues with everybody on this board getting together, hence the 3 years of true-up that weren't done. And what I've seen in the past is we'll go to a meeting and Mayville and East Central will bicker and point fingers at each other, and then they turn to us and say, okay, well, you're the deciding factor, whose side are you gonna take? To me, the joint powers just isn't working. It was formed more for a financial reason to get the funding for doing these water plants. That's where my suggestion was terminate the joint powers and just do business, us and East Central and Mayville and East Central. And then they stepped in with this whole new, and to me, this would work good. I would think if Hillsboro was 4 or 5 times the size they are.
Right.
And it's just all groomed around regional water systems, and we're not there yet. 20, 30 years from now, maybe we will be. Maybe the state will step in and they'll say, okay, we need to regionalize water. And at that time, maybe we won't have a choice. Mayville has an issue with staffing. I don't see that in Hillsboro right now. I mean, we have, Nicole was saying is, all our guys are I'm gonna call them multi-departmental. They can work in any department. And that's a nice feature for us that we can do that. Mayville's not set up that way. They have one, I think they have one and say a half guy to work at their water plant. If that main guy's gone there, they have issues with. So we're in a little bit better situation than they are as far as staffing goes. Can we afford to pull 2 of our guys out and throw them into total water department and water plants? No. I mean, we'd have to hire more people. And then the other thing is Hillsboro has always pushed for its independence. They like to be independent. They like to have their own water, their own electricity. To me, the cleanest, easiest way to be termination of the joint powers and then just do business with East Central.
Right.
But that's for you guys to decide.
And that's something I can have a conversation with on kind of what those pros and cons are, or how that would, kind of pan out for what we would do to dissolve the other and, I believe, become an entity with them, I believe is what they say.
It'd be similar to the contract we have with them for Riverwalk. You know, we have a contract with East Central just for that.
Right.
Um,
Or it could be a joint powers just with East Central, not necessarily with.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
And we do have a meeting coming up on March 28th to do the 2020 true-up. Us in Mayville, we were ready, but East Central was not to do the 2022, so we had to schedule another meeting, but we're gonna do it by Zoom this time, but then there's gonna have to be other meetings to figure out what we're gonna do with this.
Okay, we'll kind of wait and see until that meeting, how we need to proceed. Anything else, Nicole?
That's all I have on my end. Yep.
Okay. I don't have anything special, it's all on the agenda. If I remember right. Okay, Jim, do you have anything tonight?
the only thing I have is, last week I worked with Mark from Allegiant, trying to get this load management system moving again. We fine-tuned with Paul's blessing, we fine-tuned the next mailing that will go out. The office was able to correct a lot of the address issues on there, so hopefully those letters will be going out at the beginning of this week, and we'll continue on and get a better response. And Cole and I met, and Cole did an article in the paper, thanks Cole, but we'll just keep trudging along trying to get that going.
Just a heads up, there are people that are calling into our office and saying that they have called several times and either they haven't gotten back to them, or they'll set up an appointment and then the guys don't show up. I don't remember who it was. Somebody called in today for that reason.
Okay,
So just,
well, we know what to
A
do. We
heads up.
keep a list or notify me so I can contact, or I can give you Mel's number at Allegiant to where we can call and say, what's going on, Mel? She's doing most of the scheduling.
okay.
And say, this person called and this happened, what's going on here? So it would probably work best if it just goes through her instead of Mark.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's who I think, if you call the 800 number, that's who you will get, so.
Okay. And Cole's article did help, because we got a couple people calling in and making sure that was the right number in the paper, because they hadn't gotten the letter too, so thank you, Cole, for doing that.
The other thing I thought of, if you wanted to, we could actually take an ad out and publish the letter that is being sent out, the newest letter without any names on it. So if they see that in the paper and they get one, they'll know that that's the letter and that it's legit. I don't know if that would help, but.
I think if we try the letter one more time, and then next
Okay.
option might be calling and knocking on doors. Okay, anything else, Jim?
No, thanks.
JR, do you have anything tonight? I did remember as that, Ashley, will you make sure to get the Hillsboro Days liquor sent out again so we can put that on the agenda for next meeting? Ashley, did you have anything?
Yes, 1 second. Okay, unfortunately, I have sad news. Do you want me to read this?
No.
Okay. Julie, today marks 10 years that she has been employed with the city of Hillsboro, and she has turned in her resignation for retirement, and her last day will be May 31st. So I would like to be able to properly train. So I'd like to open up, Sarah would like the deputy auditor position. I'm not sure if we have to post that publicly first, or if we can hire internally, or how that works. But I'd like to get, if Sarah can just step into that position or apply for that position internally, then I'd like to get Sarah's position posted as soon as possible so that we can have the proper training, and so Sarah can work with Julie, and whoever takes over Sarah's position, Sarah can properly train that person so that we have good bearings come June 1st, if that makes sense. But I'm not sure, JR, are we allowed to hire internally, or do we have to post it to the public?
I don't know any requirements that you have to post it.
Because
You can
Sarah's,
hire internally, as far as I know.
because Sarah already knows part of Julie's job, because she stepped in for her when Julie was on medical leave, and so to me, it would be really silly to hire, if Sarah's willing to and wants to be in that deputy auditor position, it would be silly to hire somebody outside when Sarah already knows some of the duties that Julie does on a daily basis, if that makes sense. But I'm not sure, it's up to you as how you want to do that. So I'm just,
That's your recommendation.
yeah.
I don't know, I think we should advertise it, just to have any hard feelings. I think if Sarah's the most qualified one for the job, she'll get it. And she's got a pretty good shot at it, just because of that experience, but at least that way, who knows, we might not even get anybody applying for it, we don't know, but I think it's just a good idea to do it.
So then my
That's
next,
opinion.
my next question would be, would 2 weeks posting it be okay? So post it in the paper this week and post it in the paper next week?
That's
So-
generally what we've done in the past.
For our own job service too.
Okay, and then,
We've been doing it in the past.
so if we do it that way, then I don't want to post Sarah's job. I don't want to post 2 jobs at once, because I mean, we don't want to get rid of Sarah. I want Sarah in the office. So figure out the deputy auditor position first, and then go from there, and once we figure that out, then we'll figure out the admin position. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yep.
Okay.
With that, the other thought, which I thought it was gonna be down the road a little bit farther than that's not today, but
I knew it was coming.
I was hoping like summer, but
Well, June is almost summer.
Hopefully, yeah.
was that if that position is more than deputy auditor position. It's more of a utilities auditor position. And with that, maybe this would be the time to change that part of it, which then some of those roles could go into the office administrative assistant, or what we currently have Sarah at, because I think there's some of those things that we need to look at, because that what Julie's been doing is pretty much the billing on payroll for, well, the billing for all of our utility services. So is that position more of a utilities auditor instead of deputy auditor? And should that be changed and looked at? I don't think it's gonna, it would take some job descriptions out of the current description.
But we wanna take some of those other office duties though. Keep the utilities like you're talking about, but we wanna shift some of the other office stuff up to the
Correct.
front office.
Great, which would change then that front office person more to the deputy auditor for utilities
Admin, yeah.
than admin.
But we do want a fair amount of cross-training done at the same time,
Right.
regardless of
Right.
what happens.
And that would be the point of that position, would be to cross-train on both things, and having a deputy auditor for both billings and utility, or for city and that would give also some more power to that position to make sure that things are done.
sit down with Julie and find out exactly, if there's anything that needs to be tweaked before you put it out there.
Yep, and
Something
that's,
that maybe should be added or taken out, or.
and we've been working on that. Like I said, I've known this has been coming since October. She just hadn't given me a date, but I knew that it was coming, but we didn't really say anything because I wasn't gonna throw it out there if, she was planning on waiting till September. That wouldn't make sense. So, but yeah, we have been tossing around ideas in the office of what can go up to that front office, what her position, that position actually should all entail, because there's stuff that does need to come off that desk and it needs to be spread out a little bit more. And with Riverwalk special assessment stuff, that's stuff that I need to learn. That's something that I'm supposed to do. And Julie, she didn't teach me this year because she said, well, it makes more sense for you to start fresh with the Riverwalk. So that will be one big thing that'll come off that desk.
So would I have a motion to approve the resignation effective May 31st, and then to open the position with the change in, and do you want it with the change in position title?
Now, I just have a question. So with the position title, then where does that put for the chain of command? Because would I still be above that person, or how is that gonna work as far as, so that we can, it's hard to have two bosses in one office, you know what I mean? So if somebody needs time off, or, cause then you have, well, no, I need this, or, you know what I mean? Am I
No, I
making
don't.
sense?
I don't believe it would change the chain of command at all.
Okay,
Should,
I wasn't sure. Okay,
Mike, is that
Julie's
with the change
resignation.
in title or keeping it the same?
Keeping it the same, so it's chain of command?
No, it's changing title of the position.
Oh,
Right,
yeah,
So-
changing the
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Moved by Mike, seconded by Paul. Is there any other discussion? Paul,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes,
Dave,
Yes.
Nicole,
Yes.
and a yes for me.
If you get a text or hear, I don't know if you're getting any, but they can hear you guys okay, but JR, they can't hear at all, and me, and they're a little bit quiet, so we either gotta speak up out here a little better, so.
Okay.
But they said they can hear you guys, that, okay.
Well, that helps, because then I may look at getting
couple of those.
a couple of those to set here instead of us using these, and these can go into the back if it sounds better. I think that'll help us considerably.
And
Instead
then-
of trying to eat or not eat, and too close, not close enough.
Now, does this requires that I can post the job on Friday too?
Yes.
Okay,
And I would just, whatever changes you make, send it to me, and then we'll send it out to everybody so that they have an idea of what it is.
okay, and in the job post, to have applicant, have it close on, sorry, this way I don't have to ask you later on. So where are we at?
I would say that.
10th, 17th, so close on the 24th? Cause then that would give 2 full weeks, or do you wanna close on,
I would say the 27th.
27th? By 4:30 PM?
Yeah,
Okay,
or postmarked by the 24th, during them by 20th, however, but I think the 27th. I always think of that day as a paper as a grace period, or that first day.
okay,
Not everybody reads the paper on Friday as soon as it comes out.
I know.
Or sometimes the paper doesn't always come out on Friday because snow or other things. Anything else, Ashley? I'm in a mood, is that what you said?
No, better than Rose.
Oh,
The
Do you want
papers
me to
there,
talk
the
about
post
choice?
office just does the delivery.
we'll talk about that in the,
Okay, then, nope, I'm done.
guessing anything from the sheriff's, no? No, sir. Okay, and nothing from, our engineer at this point. The only update we have on the beautification tickets is there was a recommendation that we look at sending another letter to the one that we're going to court for, as it's continually to pile on, whether or not we want to do that again and have it referred on to the sheriff's department again, because it has moved past what it originally was. It is now getting into the front drive, or the front walkways.
And when do we go to court?
April.
April.
So,
I guess you can make the motion, I don't know if it's gonna do any good,
So how would that work? So that would add on another charge?
correct. But it wouldn't be, I assume that it'd be a separate charge and she would have separate court hearing if that's the way she wanted to plead toward it.
Okay.
So it's moved by Mike, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Dave to refer ticket number 2021-004 onto the additional junk and rubbish that's being put out in the front yard. Is there any other discussion? Mike,
yes.
Nicole,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
and a yes for me.
Is her utilities shut off over?
Yeah,
Yes.
have been for a long time.
So then just make sure you call into the sheriff's department, or the dispatch, and file the,
Do we send a letter first, or do we call? Or do we do it simultaneously, because we know the outcome?
simultaneously. So JR can work on another letter and then call it at the same time.
Okay.
Okay, and then, Ashley got a phone call today about the chicken scratch, that there's a couple of people looking at buying it, so we'll see how that proceeds, but. JR, any updates on the proceedings of it?
Notes, I wanna say that the first notice deadline ends on the 10th, if memory serves. Yeah, I had a deadline here of Friday, so after that, the building inspector has to re-inspect to still say it's still in non-compliance, and then we hold a hearing here at the city commission meeting.
Okay,
So, but that's, first deadline runs up this Friday.
okay. I thought it was coming soon, so.
Yep.
All right, that is it on those. Ashley, any updates on the FEMA?
Waiting for Jim to get some documents. He's working on, let me rephrase that. He's working on getting some documents to Kevin for, more detailed time cards. Right, Jim?
Correct.
Okay. We'll go on to new business. Approval of lease question for the beautification committee. As you know, we had that opening and he had messaged a couple of us after our last meeting and said that he would be willing, so we would just need approval to add him on to.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second,
Moved by Dave, seconded by Mike to approve Leaf Swenson on the beautification committee. Any other discussion? Dave?
Yes.
Mike?
yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Any yes for me, motion carries. Next item is a pool grant. There is a grant available that has been used for pools in the past. And just trying to find it, but I don't think Ashley.
It was just a link. I'm opening
The
up my
cost
email.
of what it was.
Oh, sorry.
I'll find it. I had reached out to AE2S to get a quote to see what it would cost to have them write the grant for us, because I don't believe any of us would have the time to do it effectively. But I know Lakota has done it with their pool, and I think they're doing it twice now. They did 2 different projects for the pool.
So this is for repair then?
For repair, yep. And that's what they did. They repaired a lot of the outside of the pool, or the main pool itself.
Who was it from A2S?
I wanna say Nicole, no. And it's a 50-50 bet.
Oh, you sent it to me. Let me search for you.
It's the Land and Water Conservation Grant, and it is Andrea Bow, which did another grant for us before, and she said the cost would be $2,000 to put the package together for us.
That's to rate the grant.
To write the grant, yep. There's quite a few things. We have plat maps, we have warranty deeds for the ownership, aerial photos. There's a few things that we have to do. A copy of letter of resolution of fund grantee by applying agency, but they would do the site development plan, they would do the figuring of the funds and all of such forth. It is
So
a,
we don't know what we'd be asking for, though,
no, and that was what they would
right?
help with.
Do that.
Yep.
Any issues with it being in the park, where it is with the flooding? Did they-
She didn't seem to, so. I have to run to the bathroom. We'll take it 2 seconds. You guys can discuss if you wish.
The last time the pool got repaired, was there a grant that repaired it?
I don't remember
When,
when it was repaired.
Long, so it's been a
Right.
long time.
I'm just curious if being it is in that flood area like that, if they're gonna say, well, we're not gonna
That's,
give you money to fix something that could be destroyed again next year.
that was my thought too.
I suppose it depends on what they're looking at fixing. If it's something underground, I suppose that
There's-
stuff stays pretty good out here, and it's usually above
Yeah,
ground.
and I think what needs to be fixed is just age.
Mhm.
There's a
Um,
lot wrong with it.
I mean, the
though.
flood raises some hell, but it doesn't seem to damage a lot.
Just makes for more cleanup.
Yeah. So I think it's more age and maintenance, it's just some underground stuff that needs to be done, and
well, I don't think we're gonna see a new pool anytime soon.
I don't think so either.
Not with the cost of materials.
Is there
And
talk-
labor.
Is there anything in there about what the budget or numbers are, or what you can apply for, or dollar-wise, or limits? Or
I don't have it pulled up. Hold on.
did you get a chance to read if there's any limits on it, or?
There is a limit, if I remember right, it was either, I wanna say it's 100 or 150,000.
They were asking what's wrong with the pool and how much work needs to be done. I said a lot.
The outside edges need to be, the outside piping needs to be replaced.
Well, there's a lot that needs to be done probably to do it right.
Right, and it's gonna be if we're gonna keep it there, it'll be a staged effect in order to do it. 1 year we'll have to do one stage of it to get it into the pump house and get that fixed. We may have to do some in the pump house to get that fixed. It seems to be that this new lining system works quite well, so that's been good, but we'll have to look at a new gutter system also. And whether we do that when we do the new inlets, that would be the key. And this might, if we could get it, this might be a year to do it, since we're down a
Manager.
manager. end of February, February 28th.
Quick.
It is quick.
That's when they have to have the grant information in,
Correct.
or they're gonna be working fast.
She's really good at her
She knew
job.
what it was, and I said I won't be able to approve it till the next meeting, so.
Any idea what the quota?
Lakota, I think it was 100,000. And all it says, it's 50% of the cost and minimum total project cost of 30,000.
And I was told once that it's very, very rare for pools to have any grant opportunities. I will say that.
Right?
Is that for new build or repair?
For
Repair.
repair, they hardly ever do any grants for repair.
So in 2022, Wishigot outdoor swimming pool renovations, Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa Indians got Ox Creek Park Splash Pad. City of Lakota got a wading pool, so they had theirs last time, or their second one last. Funding cycle, there's actually quite a few pools that have been on since they've started this. This was the same grant that the Olson Complex got in 2016 for their upgrades. So yes, and it's very hard to find grants that'll fund just pools.
I'll make a motion to move ahead with it.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Probably moved by Mike, seconded by Paul.
Hold
Is there-
on, where are we taking it out of? Funds. Where is it being paid out of, so that gets in the motion?
That was my question also. Does this come out of the pool or?
There's 9,500 and something in the, it says commission president's fund or commission, there's 9,000 there that we can use. It was kind of a discretionary fund that I had put aside for us to use as needed for some things like this. So it'd be out of the general fund.
Okay. So that's a line item in the general fund.
It is a line item in the general fund, yeah.
Okay, sorry, that's all I want to know.
Good question. Any other discussion? Nicole?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And a yes for me. Motion carries.
Who seconded that?
Paul.
Okay.
All right, the next item is the MSU Child Development Center Armory Rental Agreement. Sat down with President Van Horn and their Vice President. Trying to think of her name off the top of my head. Amber Hill and Jesse Haig, who is the director of the Child Development Centers. And what we did come up with or agree upon is that they could move up $500 a year because they pay once a year, so we changed that. But they had already wrote the check for this year, so I said, well, we can be nice and we can start the contract next year for the extra 500. The biggest changes in the contract is that no longer will you be required to clean the facility on the day-to-day operations, just after the fact.
Okay, so no, I can, if it gets approved, then I can
We
tell
can-
Alicia she doesn't have to clean there anymore.
Correct. The only thing we would have to make sure is after the large events that we have somebody that double checks it. And with that, do we need to up the deposit so that we make sure that it does get cleaned? And I did reach out to Dave from the school, and we would have to make sure we would then get a key. It's probably the internet that's doing this. Get a key for the school for that back room so that they can go in when they're using the facilities for baseball, volleyball, those type of things, and clean up after themselves, which they said they could do.
So who's gonna do the cleaning?
Their staff would do the cleaning. We wouldn't have to pay for the supplies really anymore.
The staff of the daycare?
Correct.
Oh,
Because what we're paying for cleaning is the bathrooms and the
Always.
hallways.
what's the deposit now?
For the armory, it's 300. 300. Sorry, no, try again. That's the cost that it costs to rent. The deposit, I wanna say, is 100 or 150. The cost to rent it is $300.
Thoughts? Okay.
As long as we don't have to clean it, I think that's,
And the last thing that they wanted to change on the contract is go to a 4-year contract, and the reason for that was, the Child Development Center is a federally funded program, and so they're hoping that if we can change it to 4, this would fit into the legislative cycle so that they could go to the legislative body to help with those costs. They said the federal government, they tried to get, I think it was 11% raise in the federal funding, but I think it ended up being 5 or 6% for this year.
So question, after big events then, would we be able to, if we see that a big event is coming up, then could we ask our cleaning lady to clean up after the event? Or who would you want to do that? Like example, the wedding we had this last weekend, I just said, hey, make sure the gym gets mopped because it's nasty.
Then they would be responsible, and maybe we have to say, line up with Alicia or whoever and find out what a one-time cost would be, and that they could have a choice. Either they clean it,
Okay.
or they pay X amount of dollars to get it cleaned. Which would be the bathrooms and they said they would work, I said to make sure that they let us know if there's any issues with something that's not being cleaned or not done, so that we can get it taken care of right away. They said they would take care of the majority of the cleaning supplies. It's just once in a while we'd have to make sure that there were supplies there for those events that were there.
So let me get this straight. The daycare staff is gonna clean the armory, the bathrooms and the hallways, and this Alicia's the one that's doing the cleaning now?
Correct.
And she's gonna come in and clean if there's a wedding dance? Is that what I'm understanding?
If they don't clean up after themselves, they have the choice, if I'm understanding you right, Levi, they have the choice. They can either clean up everything and mop and do all of it, or they can tell us, no, they don't want to take my deposit and pay for a cleaning lady.
So the people that have the wedding dance, for example, they would have to do the cleaning?
Right.
Right, which generally is the gym area and that hallway as you walk in, and then the main bathrooms.
And the deposit is $150.
Correct.
Is that gonna cover? Well, then
Probably
definitely
not.
we're gonna definitely raise the,
Right.
I would say $250 anyway.
and they get that back if they
Correct.
clean it up.
Clean it.
Well, we'll start with, do I have a motion to approve the contract with Mayville State?
I think Mike made the motion.
There, under the terminate, just a comment real quick, for termination, it's it's written for a period of 3, and then in parentheses, 4 years, so just typo, correct that, keep that 3 out.
Yep.
And on the second year, they start the extra 500?
Correct.
Okay.
So next year. Because I believe Ashley has the check already came in.
I think so. They usually pay in January. Nicole, where was
And I
that?
would think in general, most
Sorry?
Where is
people
it?
are probably gonna clean up after themselves,
I
but
didn't write this,
it's
so.
right that time
When you don't
Yeah, I
have it.
have it.
So, did you have made the motion, Mike? No, I didn't think so.
when we, oh, I thought you just.
Who made the motion?
Nobody has yet.
Oh, I thought you had, because I thought I stopped it from going. You do whatever you want.
Do I have a motion to approve the contract with Maple State?
I'll make the motion.
Moved by Mike, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Dave, is there any other discussion on the contract?
From a business standpoint, I think this is ridiculous. As an economic development standpoint, yeah, it's pretty good, you know, because we have daycare and supplies, you know, for that aspect. So I'm really kind of torn on the fact that, you know, because from our standpoint as a city for the business, you know, how much does it cost us every year to have that armory? You know, we talked about that.
I did.
I know you had that conversation with them, but I just, you know, I just want people to know that this is a huge thing that the city's doing for economic development and for the citizens of Hillsboro. And I hope that people realize that, because from a business standpoint, there's no way that, if I had that building, that it would be rented out for that cost. So I just want people to know that, you know, this is something that your city is doing to help daycare and, which trickles down to, economic development, to the businesses and everything, so, you know, so it's, when you look at it, that they're getting it pretty cheap, yeah, they are getting it cheap, but in the long run, we hope it benefits the city as a whole, so I just want people to be made aware of that, that's why I am saying that it's, that we have to do it, because we can't lose it, you know, so, yes, would you like them to step up and help a little more? Yeah, but I don't know the specifics, that's why we sent Levi in there, he knows all the specifics, so.
So, you know, to that fact, I believe it's right between $55,000 and $65,000 a year that building was costing us, or that's what it does cost us. They run, it was anywhere from 40 to 60 generally kids through the program, if I remember right. Currently, they have a waiting list of 30 kids. And the only reason that they have that waiting list is because they don't have enough staff. It's a different staff, they have to be qualified. President Van Horde made the comment to me that he's a teacher and I'm a teacher and somebody else was the teacher, but we are not qualified to teach at the CD, at their child development center. So it's a very specific degree. And they are having problems, and we talked about a lot of different things, and we hoped with housing issues that we can work on that, but yes, the city does subsidize that building for that. I did try to sell it to him for $1. He did not take that. So,
Can you just say you're right
I wanna say it was between 40 and 60. I can't remember the exact.
Depends on during the summer. The summer, they take on more, I think.
And it all depends on what program they're running, so. Is there any other discussion on that? And if you're curious where the funds do come out of that, this year we don't have to put anything into the Armory Fund, but generally that comes out of sales tax dollars is what has been paying for it. Dave?
Yes.
Paul?
there? Yes,
Nicole?
Yes,
Mike?
Yes.
And a yes for me. Motion carries. So I will get that signed and off to them. Then with that,
Sarah just said it's $100 deposit.
okay. And it's $300 to rent it?
Yes.
I would suggest that we say it's a $300 deposit also, because I don't know that we'd get anybody in here cheaper than that to clean,
Yeah, it's a big space.
Big space.
or more if you want, but.
No, I think you're under.
On,
Yep.
contract for the
To change the,
renting, rental.
yep.
I'll make the motion.
Was there a second?
A second.
I'll second.
Dave makes the motion, Nicole seconded, on raising the deposit for the armory to 300, and that they can clean themselves and get the deposit back, or if they don't, then they will need to forfeit that. And we'll, as long as somebody in your office is okay with being the one that checks it, or
Yeah.
have somebody from there just let you know.
Yeah, Bambi's good about calling me.
Okay.
Especially if she has to clean it up.
And, you know, if, I would even say if there's somebody in their staff that does it, or they get it cleaned beforehand, that could go to pay whoever does it, so. Right, is there any other discussion on the change in the deposit? And I would assume anybody that has it rented as of today,
Keep it at what they have.
what they have it.
Okay. If they're on the calendar, keep the deposit at
If-
100.
If they've already made the deposit,
Okay,
if they haven't made the deposit, then go up.
okay,
Because I assume when they sign the contract, they have to put a deposit down.
yes.
Is there a checklist of the items that need to be cleaned when someone does rent that?
We can make one. I don't know if
That
there
might be
actually
handy,
is one,
otherwise, you
but
know,
we can make one.
somebody might not think it's as clean as it should be, or bathrooms should have been cleaned and they weren't, or
Mhm.
probably just so they know.
And then I think on the list too, you'd also put like where the supplies are at.
I think that'd be helpful for them.
Okay. Any other discussion? Mike,
Yes.
Nicole,
Yes,
Dave,
Yes.
Paul?
Yes,
And a yes for me. Motion carries. Getting over an hour here, better hurry up. All right, the lead course, the MRES lead course that is coming up, Ashley had asked about going to that for this year. I requested that she hold off until next year, just till we get things more cleared up. With that, can we, if she's okay with it, to make approval that we allow her to go next year? We can plan that in the budget. It is probably,
$3,500, and if I go to all 4 of them, then the MRES pays for half of it.
so it's still, time you get travel and everything else, it'd probably be a 4,000 on our side
Yeah.
still. And that'd be something that we could then plan into the budget for next year for that course. Are you okay with that?
well, next year probably makes more sense too with Julie leaving and stuff.
I don't think we need a motion on it, because we can put it in the budget, or would you like a motion to make sure it's in there for sure?
Yes, please.
Do I have a motion to approve that then? For next year's budget?
I'll make that motion. We approve that she can attend the lead course next year, 2024.
Is there a second?
Second that.
Moved by Paul, seconded by Nicole. Any other discussion? Nicole,
Yes,
Mike,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes,
Dave,
Yes.
and a yes for me. Motion carries.
just for the people, do you want to elaborate what that is, Ashley?
So,
Just
yeah,
people know what it's, talks about leadership and things like that, right? Maybe you want-
yeah, hang on, still typing. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I can,
Five.
so the curriculum consists of various articles and materials provide us, basically to help with the advancement of collaboration, communication, change, and failing versus failure, and to have positive and negative change in a group, and how to then implement that leadership into your community. But the critical skills, the awareness and perceptions to make sure that they are a good leader in the community.
And it's specifically like geared around the utility-based, like it's specifically for my job.
And they meet 4 times,
Yep.
and she has homework to do, and with my experience that I've had with the Missouri River, they do a very good job. And I think if it's something that she's able to dive into, it'll be very, very beneficial to our community. And because I haven't had anything with Missouri River that I've dealt with that I've been disappointed with. They do a good job with the courses that they do, and plus they take good care of you when you're there.
Okay. The last item that we have is parking on the 400 block of Caledonia and 4th Street Southeast. That would be where the new daycare has come in. I had a request, and you know, we talked about it the last meeting. I sat down and met with them and talked to them a little bit. Currently, they are just kind of parking there, even though it does say no parking. Some of the concerns that were brought up by the other residents, they did talk to them, to the other residents that live there. None of them really had an issue with it. The only thing they were worried about was it going to block them for mail delivery? And the other thing that they were worried about was, you know, and I also told them that, you know, if we open it up, that doesn't mean that they're guaranteed parking on that side. So kind of the recommendation that I talked about, which would maybe work for him, is to open up the parking on the 4th Street Southeast, across from the hospital, on that, from the hospital parking lot to the north, so that they could park there during, their staff could park there. It would be a no parking zone, or we could even open it up that whole side, depending on if that's what we approve, and then a 15-minute parking, or the same that we'd have over here in front of their building, so that they could park.
Just in front of there.
Just in front of, you know, where I think there's 2 signs in there right now, so you could change those 2 to in between, 15-minute parking between these 2 signs. My understanding is that those were put in by was the request of the residents around that area. Not necessarily a requirement of us, but.
There's the same signs going north towards your shop too, isn't it?
There is, yep.
On the east side of the street.
Yep. Which we didn't talk about anything on those.
You're talking about opening 4th is what goes by the hospital?
Correct. Just on the,
North side of the
North side.
driveway, right?
well, it'd be, yeah,
North side of the
Of,
driveway?
of the
Parking
parking,
lot.
Sanford parking lot
On
driveway,
the
right?
east side of the street.
east side of the
Yep.
street, of 4th Street, yep,
Right,
Like
They-
north
don't they have
park.
don't they have that parking lot?
correct.
So
'Cause
from that
the-
driveway forward?
From that driveway forward, yeah. Because the other side is for the ambulance staff, which is less and less, but it does get used at times.
That's nice when they've got
And
that.
why
FM's
would
got an
we
ambulance in
need to
town or
open
something.
up that area
Employee staff parking.
for the daycare?
For the daycare,
How many do they have?
couple.
They got a driveway.
She said that they tried to get them in the driveway, but it didn't, they weren't fitting in there with, I think they have a van that they use now for the daycare. I said I would bring it up and we'd go from there. She was gonna try to make it, but
They're gonna have a hard time, once they find out that parking's open, anybody can park there.
that's what I told her. That's why I said the 15-minute parking would be the best in front of the building. Said we could open it up, and then there's no guarantee, and I said, especially if you have students that are working for you and other students see it there.
I think that's what we put out here. Isn't that 15?
About 10 or 15, yeah. And that would be okay there, but it doesn't help the employee parking. Here they got a parking lot, they're not, no.
Right.
They're just,
And you do remember that was closed off before. A lot had to do with snow removal so that we can clean that. Does somebody come into the hospital and for a night shift and park there? You know, I don't know how parking goes, but
And right now, what hours is that parking open there? Is that 24 hours you can't park? No.
No, it's after 4 or 5, I thought.
it's
Yeah.
out through the evening.
8 AM to 4 PM on Caledonia.
Yeah, because you can park there for
And then
basketball
it's,
games.
And I do know that,
12 AM to 6 PM, Monday through Friday on the east side of the hospital.
What was it, Dave?
12 AM to 6 PM, Monday through Friday,
Where you can or cannot.
No parking.
no parking.
So their main concern is dropping kids off in front of the house and going
No.
and getting them where?
it's their employee parking. And I said, you know, at this point, we haven't ticketed or asked the sheriff's department to do anything, but if there's any complaints, I mean, that's the first thing that'll happen. And they would be in the wrong, because it is a no parking.
I can see the 10 or 15-minute parking for dropping off kids, but I don't know if we're gonna accomplish anything by opening up that other section. You might just create more problems when it comes to snow removal. So,
And if she's only got a couple employees, I would think that they could figure out something with their driveway.
well, and they can
Instead of
park,
us-
and they could, what time do they come in?
I don't
And they
know.
must be there the same time school is,
And I told her that,
Yeah, so
that they can park on the,
on the other side too. Yeah.
Yep.
So, but I have no problem with making that 15-minute, or whatever you want on that, 10 minutes on that side there. You know. But I don't know,
Yeah, I don't
I don't think we have a problem.
go any farther than that.
And what's the parking on the east side going by Pittsburgh? Is that still parking there at all, or is that, how is that?
No, there's parking.
there's
Parking.
parking.
That
There's
one there.
parking
They could
there.
park there too, you know, so.
Just going north towards the egg shop,
On the east side of the
on the
street?
east side.
They can't park?
Which, that gets pretty narrow when,
That's a narrow street.
when they're parked on both sides, it does get narrow.
I'd say probably leave it for now.
And just change for the 15 minutes?
Change for the 15 minutes.
Okay, do I have a motion for that then?
The motion.
He makes the motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded
I
by
have a
Mike?
question.
Yes.
Who's in charge of putting the signs up? No, I'm asked because historically, any request for any unusual parking, the person requesting it has done it. I don't believe we paid for the signs over here. I think the daycare did.
They did, yeah.
So just asking,
So then we would stick with that same policy then.
okay?
And they have to, so they have to
They would provide the
Those
signs.
are new signs there too.
provide
I would say
and put in, right?
just off the top of my head, I think the sign that size is $30, couple signs, 5-foot post, tells bar. You know, they're not gonna spend, maybe with the labor for the county.
The
to put it
install is
in,
gonna be,
maybe a couple $100
Yeah.
to put it in.
Which the sign, they could reuse the posts that are there, correct?
they're spaced pretty, you'd have to check the spacing
Yeah,
on
you'd
them, I
have to
guess.
check the space.
Okay.
Depends on how much room you want to give them to do that, the whole side or what, so.
No, I think we're just talking about their property, right?
Kind of what I had said was where there's two signs in the middle right now that were
So between those signs?
between
So
those.
you could use, or you could word it maybe that between, I don't know.
Because I don't think it's that far. I think it was enough to get 3 to 4 vehicles in there.
And they're usually in and out of there pretty quick, aren't they? Yeah.
Yep. And I'll let her know that then she'd be responsible for the signs, or the daycare would be. Okay, is there any other discussion on that? Mike,
Yes.
Nicole,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
and a yes for me. Motion carries. Do we have anything else from the commission or staff? Anything from the audience? I have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Second,
Second?
moved by Dave, second by Nicole. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.